Welcome to the CondoVultures.com podcast with your host, Peter Zalewski, a Miami real estate broker, Wall Street consultant, and expert witness. This podcast is focused on identifying real estate buying opportunities in the South Florida condo market of Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. The CondoVultures.com podcast is not authorized by the South Florida real estate industry and will most likely annoy many of the region's talking heads. This podcast will feature straight talk and salty language that could be offensive to some. Please remember that past investment success does not determine future gains, especially in South Florida's volatile condo market. For more information, please visit CondoVultures.com.
Welcome to Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. If you're turning into this podcast, you're here for the condo market analysis, the weekly update where we take a look at a particular submarket located within the Tri-County, South Florida region of Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach counties. This particular podcast, we're going to be focusing on Broward County, and we're going to look at the trends that are occurring in 2023, and we're comparing them to the end-year data for 2022. So for Broward County, any of you who maybe aren't familiar with where it's located right in the middle. The Tri-County region is comprised of Miami-Dade County to the south, Broward County in the center, and Palm Beach County to the north. In Miami-Dade County, you're going to have cities like Miami Beach, neighborhoods like Grove. Also in Miami-Dade County, you have Aventura, Sunny Isles, places like that. In Broward County, you're going to have Hollywood, you're going to have Hallandale, you have Fort Lauderdale. You'll also have Pompano Beach, and then finally in Palm Beach County, you're going to have Boca Raton, you'll have West Palm Beach, you'll have Delray Beach, you'll have Tequesta, and Jupiter. So that's the Tri-County area. But for this particular podcast, we're going to focus on Broward County. A couple things to keep in mind before we start to get into the details of this particular podcast. First and foremost, if you're listening to this podcast on a traditional platform such as Apple or Google or Spotify or Anchor, be aware that we have a video version of this podcast. Just simply go to any platform that provides for video, including Spotify. Additionally, we're going to take a copy of this particular podcast. We're going to upload it to YouTube, where our handle is Condo Vultures TV, Condo Vultures TV. Point number two, if you have any questions for us, any comments, send an email to inquiry@condovultures.com. That's INQUIRY @condovultures.com. Another tidbit to keep in mind is all the data we're pulling is coming from the multiple listing service. It is a database that is used by realtors. Who are realtors? They are people with a real estate license who join a club called the Realtor Association in return for the $1,000 a year. What they get in return is the ability to enter properties into this database, primarily listings where these realtors are representing somebody trying to sell, as well as it's a great way to quickly find properties that might be on the market for sale for those brokers who are on the buy side of the transaction. As mentioned, all the data we're going to be referring to, it's going to be focused on transactions that occurred between January and December of 2022. And then finally, what I would mention in terms of the rules of engagement is the multiple listing services based on real estate professionals who are part of the club, who then represent either a buyer, a seller, a landlord, or a tenant. They, in return for their services, they charge a commission. And that commission that's charged, that is one of the key parts to being able to enter a property into the multiple listing service, which is the database. So any property where a commission is not being paid, therefore will not be included in the multiple listing service. So what are some examples of properties that are not in the multiple listing service? That would be properties such as for sales by owner. Also be properties such as those that are transacted by way of billboards and signs on the side of the highway that say, "We buy ugly houses." Another example of properties that aren't going to be included in the multiple listing service will be those corporate landlords that own 100, 200, 300, 400 units and don't want to pay a realtor a commission annually based on filling up these apartments for rent. So those are the rules of engagement. We're going to go ahead. We'll take a commercial break. The other side of the break, we're going to get into a focus on Broward County condo market with trends occurring in 2023, as well as look at the statistics from 2020.
It's a simple formula, and it works. Buy low, sell high. We're Condo Vultures, and when it comes to your real estate, we help you buy low. At Condo Vultures, we represent the buyer, and now's the time to buy. Log on to CondoVultures.com for more information. CondoVultures.com. And remember, before you sell high, you have to buy low. Featured in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, 60 Minutes, and Time Magazine. Condo Vultures Realty, a licensed Florida real estate brokerage capitalizing on the condo correction since 2006.
Welcome back to Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski of Condo Vultures. Again, if you're listening to this podcast in a traditional format, be advised that you can actually watch the podcast. Simply go to a platform that provides for videos such as Spotify. You can also check out our podcast on YouTube, where our handle is Condo Vultures TV. If you want to send us a comment, send an email to inquiry@condovultures.com, INQUIRY @condovultures.com. So for this particular segment, we're going to focus on the condo market in Broward County. This will be any and all condominiums that exist within the Broward County borders. Remember, Broward County is the county located in the middle of the tri-county region. Miami-Dade County will be to the south. Palm Beach County will be to the north. So let's get started with the statistics. Currently, there are 3,760 condos for sale in Broward County, 3,760. The average asking price for one of these condos, $508,675 a door, $508,675 a door. And on a price per square foot basis, the average ask $379 a foot, $379 a foot. Now, keep in mind, when you're dealing with a condo, you're actually dealing with a commodity. When you're dealing with a house, you are dealing with a work of art. What do I mean by that? Well, condo, for the most part, the layout in a particular line of a building, that would be like a 01 line, a 02 line, a 03 line, so on and so forth. The layouts are all going to be the same regardless of what floor you are located on within the building, generally speaking. Some developers will have unique designs, but the problem is when you have so many unique designs, it tends to add to the cost, and it also creates a lot of confusion. So under a normal scenario, whatever the layout is on the 12th floor will most likely be the same on the 24th floor, which will be the same on the 36th floor, continuing on and on. The only time there will really be any kind of difference is typically when you get to the higher floors, and that's where you might have some higher ceilings. Another thing to keep in mind about a condo is some people, when they purchase their condo, they're going to go ahead and they're going to over improve, thinking that they're going to get more money back in return. The reality is, based on the experience of playing in the condo market, and I wrote about it for 13 years when I was a financial journalist, but I've been playing in it from a broker or consultant perspective since 2006. The reality is, once the condo is on the resale market, so it was already pre-sold, somebody took title, now they're trying to resell it. Typically what you find is condos will trade based on price per square foot, and any kind of upgrades or over improvements that are done, many sellers will not even break even on that. Many times will actually lose money depending on what time or where you are in a particular cycle for the condo market. So as a result, we consider condos to be commodities. Like if you are in your car, you pull up to an intersection, you're going to have 4 gas stations. Unless you have some sort of affinity or rewards program with a particular brand of gas stations, chances are you're buying the cheapest price per gallon. That's how a lot of people look at condominiums. Now, contrast that to single-family houses. Single-family house within a community, there's a variety of different factors that impact pricing, such as where is the house located on the block? What is across the street from the house? Is there access to a major highway or road? Where is it in relation to a school? How many trees are on the property? What's the shape of the lot where the house is built? What kind of shrubs? What kind of flowers are there? What about the square footage of the house? Is it 1 story? Is it 2 stories? Is it 3 stories? What type of materials were used to build the house? You get the sense. So when you're dealing with houses, you're dealing with works of art. Everything has to be factored in. When you're dealing with condos, you're pretty much dealing with commodities, much like you're dealing with gasoline, where many people will simply buy price per gallon rather than from whichever is the cheapest, rather than simply driving around and overpaying for a particular property. Condo is commodity. House is going to be a work of art. So price per square foot is really what the focus on when you deal with condos. So $379 a foot is the average asking price for a condo in Broward County, $379 a square foot. And days on market, those condos that are for sale today, they've been there 92 days on average, 92 days on average. Not pending sales. These are the condos that were listed for sale. They are now under contract and they're waiting to transact or close. 1,178 are currently pending, 1,178. Average asking price for these pending sales, $371,485 a door. 371,485 a door. Price per square foot, $295 a foot, $295 a foot. And those condos that are under contract in Broward County, they've been there 54 days, 54 days. Now in 2022, January through December, there were 14,800 condos that traded in Broward County, 14,800. They traded at an average price of $353,270 a door, $353,270 per door, or $279 a square foot, $279 a square foot. And it took a grand total from the point that a Broward County condo was put up for sale, went under contract, and it closed. It took 53 days, 53 days. Now, days on market is really important to consider, especially where we are in this particular phase of the condo market. Days on market will provide to you some sentiment. It'll give you an idea of what buyers are thinking and what sellers are thinking, but mostly buyers, how quickly are they willing to react. So we take a quick glance at days on market. We're going to see that today, the condos for sale in 2023, they've been sitting there 92 days and they're still not under contract. Now, once they go under contract, they're probably looking at another 30 to 60 days to close, generally speaking. So 92 days plus whatever it takes to close once they do go under contract versus 2022, those condos in Broward County that sold took a grand total of 53 days. So you can see there's a disconnect between the buyers and the sellers. Now, where's that disconnect coming from? A lot of it's coming from price. So let's compare the prices. In Broward County in 2023, as mentioned, the average ask is $508,670 a door, $508,670 a door. But the units that they traded at $353,270 a door. That's about a 44% difference. Now, what does that represent? What does that mean? Generally speaking, when a condo's asking price is about 20% over the average, that generally indicates to the market that this seller might be willing to negotiate. And typically when a deal gets done, the deal will be about 8 to 12% above the average asking price, generally speaking, when it's an up market. And how do you come up with the 8 to 12% versus the 20% over? That's simply splitting the difference. Now, let's compare that 20% ballpark saying buyers, you should make an offer, and then closing at 8 to 12%. Let's compare that to what the difference is right now in price per door. It's about 44%. So that means many of these sellers are simply charging way too much. And as a result, the number of days on the market is increasing. Now, let's compare it to price per square foot. Average ask was $379 a foot. Average transaction price was $279 a foot. That's about a 36% spread or premium that sellers are seeking over the average transaction price. And what does that mean? That means, again, sellers are simply charging way too much for a condo. And as a result, days on market number will grow until ultimately that seller either cuts the price or something changes in the marketplace, which seems unlikely because interest rates are on the rise. So unless something changes dramatically, we're probably going to see the days on market continue to go up simply because the spread or the premium between what the seller wants and what the average transaction price is. And that is bad news for sellers, but good news for buyers who are patient. Now, another thing to keep in mind when you're looking at the condo market, any condo market we're going to talk about in Broward County, the average number of sales per month in Broward County was 1,234 condos moved per month in Broward County. How did I come up with that? I took the total number of sales, I divided by 12 months of the year, and that's why I keep up with my average sales pace or velocity. That's 1,234. Now, if I take the 1,234 sales pace of 2022, I divided what's currently in the market, which is 3,760. I will come up with 3 months of supply. Equilibrium is 6 months. Anything greater than 6 months is a buyer's market because there's plenty to choose from. Anything less than 6 months means it is a seller's market. So Broward County right now is in a seller's market because there's not enough supply. However, the warning signs are out there because days on market is increasing, and the spread between what sellers want and what the average transaction price is suggests that as we go forward and we leave this winter buying season, when many people descend upon South Florida simply because the weather is so great, there's a lot of activities going on. And as we move into the hot and humid hurricane season, chances are you're going to see a pullback in pricing. So we'll take a commercial break. Other side of the break, we're going to get into the luxury condo market in Broward.
This is Peter Zalewski of the Condo Vultures podcast. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. And I wanted to alert you that if you have a property that you're looking to sell in the Tri-County, South Florida area, I would encourage you to reach out to Jenny Cortez, a licensed real estate broker with CVRRealty.com. She's my partner. She's been in the business for north of 15 years. More importantly, she knows the market. She knows how to get a deal done. And she also realizes that it's more important to get a price that you can accept and sell the property rather than to hold firm on some price that's never going to be achieved and ultimately languish on the market. So if you're looking to do a deal that you want a skilled expert who can help you sell a property, reach out to Jenny Cortez at 305-865-5859, 305-865-5859, or visit her website, CVRRealty.com.
Welcome back to my Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. This particular segment of our podcast, we're going to focus on luxury condos. Best place to start is what is luxury. If you spend any time in South Florida, you live here, you visit, you hear that word luxury thrown around quite a bit. Could be associated with booze at a bar, could be associated with art at a festival, and it's always associated with condos. Why do people use the term luxury? simply because it's too vague. There's no real definition that's commonly accepted. But if something is perceived to be luxury, therefore a premium should be paid for it. And that's the rationale. Now, when I hear luxury, I think run the other way because somebody's trying to snooker me. But that being said, let's get into luxury. Because there are so many different definitions of luxury, we're going to make it real easy by creating and setting up a definition of luxury being a condo with an asking price or sales price over $1 million, $1 million, 7 figures. So if something is $1 million, we call it luxurious. If it is $999,999, we're simply not calling it a luxury. We're calling it standard. And that's the way we will go ahead and we will adjust this market. Why? Because everybody has a different perspective of what luxury is. So in the luxury market, again, listings of $1 million or more, the number of units for sale in Broward County, 304. 304 are currently for sale. The average asking price per door, $2.4 million a unit, $2.4 million a unit, price per square foot, $1,052 a foot, $1,052 a foot. And those luxury condos that are on the market, they've been there an average of 128 days and counting, keeping in mind that once a place goes under contract, you're looking at 30 to 60 days to close. So 128 at this point is how many days typical luxury condos on the market in Broward County. Pending sales, 76 pending luxury condo sales in Broward County. Average asking price, $2.2 million a door. And the average price per square foot, $1,032 a square foot, 1032. Days on market, 106. So those condos that are pending, they were listed and they've now been under contract a grand total of 106 days. And then in 2022, January through December, there were 605 luxury condos that traded, 605. They traded an average price of $2.2 million a door, $2.2 million per door, or $936 a foot, $936 a foot. And it took a grand total of 152 days, 152. Now let's look at days on market because that's a great indicator in terms of sentiment in the marketplace between buyers and sellers. So in 2022, it took 152 days to trade a luxury condo in total. Right now, those condos that are for sale, they've been there an average of 128 days and counting. If you add 30 to 60 days for a closing, which is pretty normal for the industry, you're going to see that we're very quickly going to it's going to take longer in 2023 to sell a luxury condo than it did in 2022. Why is that? It sure as hell doesn't look like pricing. It looks more so because of conditions going on in the overall economy where we have rising interest rates. We have inflation that has been steady and decreasing, but not necessarily quickly. We have an increasing number of layoffs. And basically we have an economic outlook that is leaning towards being bearish or negative kind of going forward. So let's take a look at what the pricing is today on a luxury condo in Broward County versus what the average transaction price 2022. Well, $2.4 million is what sellers of luxury condos are seeking today. Units that traded in 2022, they traded for $2.2 million. That's about a 10% spread. And if you listen to what I typically say is a rule of thumb, 20% difference is typically when you start to bring in offers. And a 10% difference is typically above the average transaction price. It's typically when a deal gets done. These condos are priced to sell. Days on market currently suggests that they still have some time to get to transact, and they're in that ballpark of how long it took for 2022 for a sale. So that's a wait and see type of scenario. What about price per square foot? We're looking at about a 12%. The average ask was $1,052 a foot. The average transaction was $936 a foot. It's about a 12% spread. So it's right there in that sweet spot. So some deals should get done. So this is a stay tuned, wait and see to see ultimately if these condos trade in the same time span that they did in 2022. So we'll touch base with you in the next update, a quarter from now, and we'll let you know how it played up. How many luxury condos traded on average per month in Broward County in 2022? Looks like about 50 condos. How did I come up with that? I took the total number of luxury condo sales, which was over 600, divided by 12 months in the year. And that's how I come up with my 50 luxury condo sales in Broward County in 2022. Now, what does that mean in terms of supply? So if I take that 50, which is the sales pace, I divided it what's on the market today, which is over 300, I'm going to come up with 6 months of supply, 6 months of supply. What does 6 months of supply mean? It means equilibrium. So it looks like the Broward County condo market is in equilibrium. Now, as days on market, as that increases or as the spread between the average asking price, the average transaction price starts to create a difference, then you're going to see which way the market's leaning. But at this point, it is teetering and no one knows which way it's going to go. Is it going to turn into a buyer's market, which is greater than 6 months of supply, or is it going to turn into a seller's market, which is less than 6 months of supply? We're going to take a commercial break. Other side of the break, we're going to get into the distressed condo market in Broward County.
This is Peter Zalewski of the Condo Vultures podcast. Before I started doing these podcasts, I was in the business of being a licensed real estate broker, a contributing columnist for the Miami Herald, as well as the Miami Real Deal, but also extra witness work in consulting. So if you are looking for an expert witness, or if you're looking for consulting services, a straight talk perspective as to what's going on in a particular marketplace, a building, or what happened previously, for whatever your situation is, whether you are an attorney, whether you are a institutional fund looking to invest, or whether you're a lender who's trying to come up with some sort of strategy and approach for your lending committee going forward, I just might be able to help you. To get a hold of me, please reach out to Peter@condovultures.com. That's Peter@condovultures.com, or give me a call to the office at 305-865-5859, 305-865-5859.
Welcome back to my Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski of Condo Vultures. We offer real estate services as well as consulting. So if you're in the market for a place, give us a call. Maybe somebody with the organization can help you out. So this particular segment, we're talking distress. Now, what is distress? Basically breaks down into two categories. You got a short sale and you got a real estate owned. Real estate owned also is referred to as an REO, a bank owned, or a foreclosure. So short sale and REO. On the short sale side, you have a borrower who is an owner who's trying to unload a property ultimately before the property goes into foreclosure. And therefore that owner/borrower will go to a bank, try to get that bank, convince that bank to accept less than what it's ultimately owed. Why? So the bank doesn't have to go through the foreclosure process, which could take 9 to 12 months. It will typically mean loss of mortgage payments. It will also potentially mean any kind of legal fees that are involved with it. Plus, there could be damage to the particular unit. Now, during the Great Recession, we saw a lot of situations where people who were losing their properties, they were going into foreclosure. They were going to end up to be an REO. What some of these borrowers/owners did is they removed the cabinetry to try to sell it. They removed the appliances to try to sell it. They did anything they could basically to generate some cash on the way out because they knew they weren't going to get anything in return. So short sale is when the seller/borrower tries to convince the bank to accept less and avoid the whole foreclosure mess. And an REO is a unit that goes through the whole court process. And ultimately the bank is given title to the property. The bank is given the keys, and that particular seller is basically out on its behind because they've lost the property. Now, typically once a bank goes through a foreclosure, what they will do is they will try to sell the property. They'll achieve whatever they can in terms of price, and then they'll turn around and they'll sue the borrower for whatever the difference is. So that is the difference between a short sale and an REO. What's going on overall in the distress market in Broward County? If I combine the REOs and the short sales together, we currently have 24 distressed units on the market, 24. We currently have 17 units that are pending, 17 pending distressed units. And in 2022, you had 154 transactions, 154 of distressed units in Broward County. Let's break down this number into short sales, and then we'll break it down into REOs. We're going to start with short sales again. Preemptive attempt where a bank is asked to accept less than what they're ultimately owed, and therefore they will come up short of getting repaid back. So it's currently one short sale in Broward County. That asking price, $210,000, 210. Price per square foot, $106 a foot. And that short sale's been on the market 4 days. So it's brand new. How many pending short sales are there? There's three. The average asking price for these pending short sales, $80,100 a door, 80,100. And the average price per square foot, $98 a foot, $98 a foot. And they've been on their track and listed for a grand total of 11 days. And in 2022, 14 short sales traded in Broward County, 14 traded. Transaction price, $220,100 a door, $220,100 a door, or $235 a foot. And it took a grand total of 84 days to pull off one of these short sales. 84 days. Let's look at days on market. Again, this telltale sign of what the market's. The one short sale that's on the market today, it's only been there 4 days. And in 2022, it took 84 days to sell. So that would suggest that there is a demand for short sales simply because there's nothing available right now in the marketplace. And the one that is there, it's only been there less than a week. Now, what about the price difference? Remember, 20% difference is typically what's with a seller is seeking 20% or less. That will typically generate interest. And typically buyers will come in, they'll submit offer. A unit will trade for somewhere that 8 to 12% over the average transaction price. That's generally speaking how you see the market play out when it's an upside market. So what do we got going? $210,000 was the asking price for that one short sale versus the Average transaction price in 2022 was $220,100. That's a negative 5%. So they're actually asking less for a short sale today than what they traded for in 2022. What about on a price per square foot basis? We're looking at about a 55% discount. 55% discount. Why is that? Because the short sale that's on the market today, its asking price is $106 a foot versus the short sale that traded 2022. They traded for $235 a foot, $235 a foot. Now, how many short sales were trading per month in 2022? If I take the 14 units that traded, I divide it by 12 months in the year, I'm going to come up with an average of 1.2 short sales per month traded. If I divide that at what's currently on the market, which is one, I'm coming up with less than 1 month of supply. 1 month of supply, 6 months is equilibrium, and anything less than 6 months is a seller's market. So it is a seller's market for short sales in Broward County. Let's transition and take a look at the REO market. REO market today, there are 23 bank-owned condos on the market in Broward County. 23, average asking price, $197,670 a door. $197,670 per door. Average price per square foot for an REO, $190 a foot. $190 a foot. And days on market, 66 days. 66 days. Ending sales. We got 14 REOs that are pending in Broward. Average price per door, $237,700 a door. $237,700 a door. Price per square foot, $216 a foot. $216 a foot. And those pending sales, they've been listed and under contract for a total of 71 days in counting. 71 days in counting. And then in 2022, there were 140 bank-owned condos that traded in Broward County. 140, they traded at an average of $209,600 a door. $209,600 per door, or $185 a foot. $185 a foot. And days on market, 41 days. 41 days. Now, this is interesting, because days on market is a telltale sign that it's a sentiment. In 2022, it took 41 days to trade an REO. Today, those REOs that are on the market, they've been there 66 days and counting. So it suggests that there's a disconnect in terms of pricing. Now, let's see if that's actually bearing out. What do we got going on in terms of price? The average price per door in 2022 was $209,600. However, the units that are for sale today, they're only asking $197,670 a door. That means the prices today are 6% below what the average transaction price was in 2022. So that suggests that pricing is not an issue. There must be some other factor that working its way in. Maybe it has to do with interest rates. Maybe it has to do with inflation. Maybe it's something going on with the rental market. Could be a variety of different factors, but that's something definitely interesting. So if you're interested in REO, it looks like this might be a market to play in at this point in time in Broward County. Now, what about price per square foot? Well, the average asking price per square foot is $190 a foot for an REO. And the ones that traded in 2022, they traded for $185 a foot. So that's basically flat. That's about 2.7%. So this seems to be very consistent in terms of pricing, which makes you ask, why is the days on the market indicator going up? And that's something we're going to have to watch. So we'll have to see in future quarters what exactly was playing out and what the reason why was why. Now, in terms of velocity for bank-owned condos in Broward County, just under 12 units traded per month. 12 units traded per month. How did I come up with that? Took the 140 transactions divided by the 12 in the 12 months in a year. And that's how I come up with the just under 12 units trading per month. I take that 12, which is the sales base. I divide what's currently on the market, which is going to be 23. I'm coming up with just about 2 months of supply, 2 months of supply. And as mentioned, 6 months is equilibrium. So anything less than 6 months is a seller's market. Now, overall, the stress market is a seller's market in Broward County. The short sale market is a seller's market. The REO market in Broward County is a short sales market. None of this should confuse you or surprise you. Why? Because banks who take back properties, they do not want to flood the market with too much product. So typically what they will do is release slowly in order to bolster pricing. So we got a seller's market in Broward for distress. We're going to take a commercial break. Other side of the break, we're going to get into the rental market in Broward.
Don't buy a South Florida condo, discounted or distressed, before taking a Condo Vultures correction tour. CondoVultures.com offers weekly bus and walking tours that focus on educating buyers on the how-tos of identifying discounted condos, analyzing the opportunities, and purchasing units. Every tour attendee receives a list of all condo projects in a particular market, a market assessment handout, and unmatched expert analysis. For more information on the condo correction tours, please visit condovultures.eventbrite.com.
Welcome back to Miami Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Peter Zalewski from Condo Vultures. We're going to talk about rentals in Broward County in this particular segment. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Currently, there are 3,124 properties for rent in Broward County. 3,124. The median asking price, $2,800 a door, $2,800 a door. And that's a good place to stop and provide a footnote. When you are talking about rentals, it's important to keep in mind that rentals are not taxed, if you will, by the government like a property transaction would be. And as a result of that, there's not a public record to be able to verify that whatever the price is that's reported is actually accurate. So as a result of that, and as a result of the rentals that are available, some of them are rented by the day or night, some are rented by the week, some are rented by the month, some are rented by the year. So as a result, what we do is instead of trying to parse out what's what, we're simply going to take the median number. It's the number in the middle, and it's as good as any. And why is that? Because rental data is sketchy. It's very sketchy. And why is it very sketchy? Because the only information that a lot of people can get their hands on relatively quickly is that information that's in the multiple listing service. But in order to go on the multiple listing service, a realtor has to be used and a commission has to be offered. A landlord that has 300 units or 400 units or 200 units, they're not going to want to pay a real estate commission. In South Florida, it's 10% of the gross annual rent, which will be split between the broker on the landlord side and the broker on the tenant side. Consequently, many corporate-owned rental properties will never make its way to the MLS. And therefore, the data we're referring to is only that which a commission is offered. So it's really just a small portion of the overall rental market. And therefore, it's not necessarily information you can make. You'll hear all these rental reports talking about what's going on in the marketplace. I will tell you, generally speaking, it's not that accurate. It's the equivalent of licking your finger, holding it up and trying to guess which way the wind blows. It's still kind of a good idea to have an idea of what the rental market is generally. Now, some of you might own your property and you're living there. Some of you might be buying a second home and you don't plan to rent it, but things change. Life changes, marriage changes, job changes, health changes. And it's always good to know in the back of your head, what can the place rent for? And I think it's a piece of information that people looking to own as well as people who own should be equipped for. And that's why we're going to get into rental markets. But we are going to talk about median because the information is simply so sketchy. By the way, if you want to know if a property is corporate owned or whether or not it's individually owned, besides the listing aspect, simply look at the outside. If you see a big sign that says for rent with a telephone number, if you see a guy flipping a sign trying to get you to stop, pull in because they're advertising a month free rent or all these great amenities, those are corporate owned. When there is a realtor involved, that typically is individually owned. And there's also the possibility where somebody might be renting it on their own for rent by owner, if you will. So let's get into the rental data. As I mentioned, $3,124 is what's currently available for rent. The median ask is $2,800 a month. The median price per square foot, $2.52 a square foot per month, $2.52 a square foot per month. And the days on market for those that are listed, median basis, 34 days. 34 days. We'll look at pending. 1,535 are pending. 1,535 are pending. Median ask that for those that are pending, $1,975 a month, $1,975 per month, or $2.07 a square foot per month, $2.07 a square foot per month. And units that are pending, they've been listed in their under contract grant rule of 22 days. And then in 2022, you had 15,100 rentals transactions completed in Broward County, 15,100. The median price for these rentals per month, $2,100 per unit, $2,100 per unit per month. Median price per square foot, monthly, $2.12 a foot per month, $2.12 a square foot per month. And days on market, it took 26 days in 2022 to put up a property for rent, to have it go under contract, to have it leased. Again, telltale sign. Compare that to what we have going on in 2023, where the median number of days is 34. So you're seeing a disconnect. It's taking longer now to rent out a property than it did in 2022. So let's take a look at pricing. Median ask was $2,800 a month for a property in Broward County, where those that were rented, they rented for $2,100. That's about a 33% spread. Again, typically 20% above the going price will generate interest, and typically 8 to 12% when the deal is done. So pricing is too high right now for rentals in Broward County on a median basis. What about on a price per square foot basis? Interesting. 19% spread or premium. $252 is what's being asked. $212 is what places rented for. So because it's in that 20% range, that suggests that some of these units should be rented relatively quickly. So then you got to ask yourself, why are we seeing the disconnect in a number of days? You would think because of this spread, rentals should be occurring at the same pace. Now, there could be a variety of different reasons, including many companies calling employees back to the office 3 days a week. There was this concept during the pandemic where you could work for a company in New York or California, and you can live in Miami, you can live in Fort Lauderdale, you can live in West Palm Beach. Some companies are starting to pull people back into the office, requiring them to come in 3 days a week. There's talk that the scenario that plays out, the hybrid, will be 4 days a week in the office, 1 day hybrid or from home. That 1 day will typically be a Friday. So maybe we're starting to see some early signs of that kicking in, because the percentage or the increase that's being sought is, it's less than 20%. So that should suggest that these rentals should be going on at the same pace that were in 2022. What you've seen in days on market built. Now, how many places were rented per month in Broward County in 2022? 1,259 places rented per month. How did I come up with that? I took the total number of rentals divided by 12, which is 12 months of the year, and that gave me my monthly velocity. Now, if I take that monthly velocity, I divided what's on the market today, 3124 in terms of units listed, I come up with 2.5 months supply, 2.5 months supply, which suggests it is a landlord's market because equilibrium is 6 months. So therefore, it is a landlord's market in Broward County. Looking at the indicators, the properties are not outrageously priced in terms of the ask versus what places lease for in 2022, but the days on market is growing. So this is something we're going to have to keep an eye on. It seems like the Broward County market's trying to teach, and it's yet to figure out which way it's going to go. So the weeks, months, and quarters ahead, we're going to give a better indication as to whether or not we're past the peak of the pandemic, inflationary prices in housing, and we're headed downward, or we're going to stay firm. And that's what we'll be watching out for. So thanks for tuning in for this particular podcast, this condo market analysis podcast. I want to remind you, if you watch the pod, go to any platform that provides for it, including Spotify. We also are going to upload this podcast to YouTube, where our handle is Condo Vultures TV, Condo Vultures TV. If you have any questions or comments, send an email to inquiry@condovultures.com, inquiry@condovultures.com. And until next time, I'm Peter Zalewski of Condo Vultures. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch up soon. Ciao, ciao.